if you don't have the trust, it's just going to be the automatic assumption. In 2 months, we scaled from 6K to 22K. That was a long time ago now. As I said, we've been 2 years. So unfortunately, guys, we've run into an issue, which this is just e-commerce for you.
Even when we hit like a 40K a month range and we were just stuck at 40K a month.
We were. I wouldn't recommend doing that. 90% of the time, that's not a good idea.
We have some people sitting at what, like 10K or something ridiculous?
100%.
That came down to just the crap traffic. And now we've been able to sort of push that and push past it because we have better traffic because of the exclusion system that we put on.
We were doing 40K a month and we probably had about 80K a month in abandoned and checkouts alone. Yeah. It was insane. The second you stop is the second that competition gets ahead of you, which if you let that happen, you're just going to slowly seep down into a dark, dark rabbit hole of a business that is dying.
Hey there, you've joined us today with Sam. Sam's a really good client of ours, and honestly, overworking with him in the last little while, he's become a great mate as well. We've been able to 22x his revenue since starting, and in this video, we're going to go into a bit about what he does to scale his brand and also what we've helped him do as well. Since starting, we've been able to add over $500,000 to his revenue in the last 12 months alone. Hello, Sam. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. I really appreciate the introduction. Just for a bit of background about myself. So as Drew said, my name's Sam. I've been running this e-commerce store for roughly 3 years now. The first year was without Drew. Scaling has always been a difficult one, and especially with the ads and stuff. So we sell medium to high ticket products on this e-commerce store. And the last 2 years with Drew have been great. So that's just a bit of background about what we do and the type of items we're selling being that medium to high ticket from anywhere ranging about $300 to $2,000 range.
Tell us a bit about, Sam, like where you were at the start, like what we've changed the product offering quite significantly. Like our best sellers now, would I be correct in saying they weren't even in the store, were they?
Yeah, definitely. So when we first started, we were selling lower ticket items, roughly in the ranges of anywhere from about $40, maybe maximum about $200. We had to slightly adjust our offerings in the same market. So we're selling the same type of products, though it's just the more higher ticket variants of these products we started selling. And when I got Drew on board, he found out that these were the better ones to target with the ads and all of the placements that he was putting them in regards to the fact that we couldn't get the ROAS we wanted with these lower ticket products. So we had to switch to higher ticket products to then in turn actually sell profitably. As when I started the business, I was basically running on break even, some months even losing money just because the ads weren't scaling and the products we were selling just weren't right fit for the market essentially.
What ads were you running when you started?
Yeah, so when I started, I first started off with Facebook ads. From what I remember with the Facebook ads, because this was about 2 years ago now, I would just run generic ads, placing them in only Australia because that's where the businesses run out of and that's where I live. So Australia with the Facebook ads was a tricky one for me. I didn't really know how to advertise on Facebook. In turn, my ROAS was pretty bad, about 1 to 2x ROAS. So I then turned my sites to Google, which did better for me, but still, I was lucky if I broke over a 2.5x ROAS because I was just running, generic performance max campaigns. I was just doing generic product placements. I didn't really know what I was doing. In turn, obviously losing me money most months, and the months I did well would just be a break-even month for me.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is the competition that we have in this niche is insane. Like people are popping up products all the time, which is why we're being a bit hesitant on actually saying what particular products we're doing because we've spent a long time trying to crack, and we have cracked a few products that are popping off quite well. And all to your credit, Sam, how long do you spend in like adding products at all that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. So our store, we're not selling just 10 products, or we're not just selling 5 products. I will say our catalog consists of I think it's over 3,000 products now we have listed online. So we have quite a big catalog. And when we started off, we probably had about 20. And then ever since Drew's been onboarded, we've been adding up to 10 products a day now, just pumping out the catalog, consistently listing more and more products as we go along.
I've said to you many times, like product research, it's so hard to know. Like you can't use a tool to get stuff to work out what products are happening. It really comes when you're actually running the ads and you actually have the products live and you're actually seeing what sales are coming through. So within reason, right? We're not adding random products that don't complement the existing products we have. Everything's within reason. So we've added in a lot of stuff. One of the biggest ones was the abandoned checkout and Klaviyo. Did you have Klaviyo when we joined, or was that something that we totally added?
Yeah, so yeah, no, I didn't ever have Klaviyo or any sort of marketing funnel that was external to Facebook or Google. So in terms of our email flows and SMS campaigns, they were non-existent. I was simply running Google and Meta ads and just hoping people would buy. If they left an abandoned checkout, there'd be no follow-up email. If someone inquired on the live chat and they left a phone number or any sort of information, there'd be no follow-ups or anything. So we had all of these leads that would essentially place their information on the site and then it would get left at that. They would never come back because I would never follow up with them or I didn't have the facilities to set up anything that would automatically follow up with people.
That's definitely a big issue that we come across, and it's definitely saved a lot of sales. And we've been implementing all these new systems, like that new SMS one.
With the SMS campaigns, touching on my other point that they were non-existent prior to Drew's involvement in the business, we added Go High Level, which has been a great app because I was struggling with our international sales, deferring them from our national sales, essentially. So people who buy in Australia obviously have our Australian phone number that they can call because we're a local business. And in the US, we just didn't have that trust because they would be emailing us and they'd ask, where are you from? And I'd have to say Australia, which in turn would kind of scare people off. But now with Go High Level, you can have multiple numbers. So whenever we text people, whenever we call people, we have a +1 number. So it appears that we're in the US. If they ask, I'm obviously not going to lie to these customers. I'm going to tell them we're an Australian business, but it just gives you that bit of extra credibility where it's like, oh, okay, they're calling me from a US phone number, which probably means they have some sort of facility in the US or something similar to that. And it's just great to have these people, one, be able to answer the phone. I know Drew and I experimented with calling a few abandoned checkouts, and from an 04 number, when you're calling a USA number, they will just never answer the phone. I think we were getting a hit rate of maybe 1 in 20 people answering. Now, with our US phone number for our international customers, we probably get them answering 1 in every 3 people, which is a huge, huge step up compared to where we're at. And the SMS campaigns that we send now are just a completely different topic that I could go on about forever. But I
Yeah,
think that's been one of the biggest revelations with Go High Level, just the multi-international number setup that you can do.
completely. Yeah, there's the SMS has been really big because when we were sending emails, like we've done a fair amount of revenue off emails alone, but the fact of the matter is it just adds another channel to be able to reach out to someone because it not a lot of our emails go to spam because we have all the correct approvals and we send plain text to emails as well, but a lot of the people just don't open their emails. Like it could just go into oblivion. So by sending SMSs, it just feels a lot more one-on-one, and especially with the high ticket items, it works quite well. When you were stuck at that 3 to 8K a month range, this was a long while ago, but what have you noticed yourself that has occurred to be able to get out of that? Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
So it's funny you actually mentioned the 3 to 8K a month range, as I think you're giving me too much credit. I believe before you jumped on board, it was actually a maximum of 4K a month.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just looking at the January stats now in 2024. I think you probably joined mid-January and that was a 6K month.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, the biggest change since then has, I would say, definitely been, look, it's so easy and simple to say, but it's so true. It's just the ads. I mean, at the end of the day, when you do e-commerce, if your ads aren't firing, you're not going to be making sales, right? So the biggest change is how you've scaled the ads in terms of the fact that we're now spending hundreds of dollars a day on ads profitably at an average of anywhere from a 5 to 7 ROAS, as opposed to back in the day where I'd be spending $20 a day and losing money on a 1x ROAS. So that's definitely been the biggest change, just the scaling of the ads. And I'd say the website development has been a big one for us as well. Before onboarding Drew, I wouldn't say the website was bad, but definitely wasn't great. It was just a bit sloppy, not neat around the edges. Whereas now we have a pretty sufficient website that all leads into the funnel in terms of people can check out easier, they can get the information they want easier, they can contact us easier. Everything on the website is just there as opposed to the customers having to go and look for stuff when in e-commerce, obviously, the less clicks, the better, and the easier the information is to access, the more likelihood that they're going to check out.
Totally. I mean, look, half of that, I want to touch on the information part, the customers getting information, because
Yeah,
you're so
yeah,
true. You're so true about the Google ad stuff. Like
hmm,
if we're getting shit traffic to the website, it's going
correct.
to convert shit, right?
Yes.
And a big part, even when we hit like a 40K a month range and we were just stuck at 40K a month, that came down to just the crap traffic. And now we've been able to sort of push that and push past it because we have better traffic because of the exclusion system that we put on. But I want to touch on the website and the information because you have spent a lot of time building trust for this brand, like a lot, and a lot of money as well, in terms of sending out products and generating that stuff. I'd love you to tell everyone a bit about like what you have done to achieve that.
Yeah. So in the niche we're in, I don't want to disclose it exactly, but I will say that there is a lot of speculation around everything coming from websites like Alibaba and AliExpress and stuff. So even when stuff like us, if you're not using these kind of platforms, you have to break away from the barrier that you are using them. And to do that, you have to create a lot of trust around the brand. So what we've done is I've focused heavily on the Google and Trustpilot reviews. I feel reviews for a business are one of the most important things, if not the most important. In today's day and age, when you're selling products that are more than $500, there's a 99% chance the customer's going to want to see reviews. They're going to want to see forums of the business to know that you're a legit company, unless obviously you've been around for 10 plus years, which no one wants to wait 10 years before making sales, right? So you have to speed up the process. And the way we've done this is we focused on Google reviews. We now have a profile with only 5-star reviews, more than, I think we're at more than 60 now. So it's definitely helped build our credibility up. And Drew and I were talking about it. We wanted to explore other avenues of thinking how we can get more reviews. And we were encountering a problem where people were typing up our store from the US and they couldn't find any reviews or any forums about us, and they just thought we were a scam company. So what we did is we created a trust pilot profile, and we ended up getting these customers who left 5-star reviews already on Google, and we got them basically just to say, can you leave the same review on Trustpilot as well? And we have quite a few on there as well, which has definitely helped with our US customers as we've seen a direct correlation with them purchasing and them saying post-purchase that, yeah, I purchased because I've seen a lot of good reviews about your company, which highly likely they haven't seen our Google portfolio because we're not based in the US and they just saw our Trustpilot reviews. And because of the 5-star reviews, they purchased. So I'd say reviews are a big one. And that's something we were combating in the early days, which was losing us a ton of money, thousands and thousands of dollars monthly, because people just couldn't find our business on any forums or any review pages or anything.
Exactly. And we do have a post-purchase form,
We
right?
do, we do, which has recently been set up and
Yeah,
has actually been very helpful.
exactly right. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say out of this is that it's just important to build trust on all fronts, right? And we highly likely couldn't be where we are today without having the trust around it because there are so many Shopify stores launching that you have to scale on all fronts to be able to actually get to a large volume and convince the buyer to buy.
You do. And I'm going to interrupt you here quickly, Drew, because I want to mention how this can be quite niche specific as well. In the niche we're selling, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of speculation that everything's coming from AliExpress and Alibaba, which while most stuff from most company is, there are companies that aren't doing this, right? And to break out of that barrier, if you don't have the trust, it's just going to be the automatic assumption that I'm just going to go buy it from AliExpress or Baba because it's half the price most of the time compared to what generic retailers are selling products for. So if you are doing stores that are, let's say, selling like fidget spinners and stuff, look, the trust probably isn't as much as a big component as it is for a store like us selling high ticket products. But for us, it's been a big one, hence why we focused on it so much.
100%. No, I completely agree. I mean, it's essentially we've just been scaling on all fronts.
We always knew that trust was a big one in the industry we're in, but it got confirmed actually with the calling abandoned checkouts. And I would recommend this to literally any store that sells items more than, let's say, $300 is call your abandoned checkouts, right? There's a high likelihood they're not going to convert after you call them, which is fine. But the information you'll receive from them on why they didn't buy is crucial in terms of scaling your business to find out why these people aren't buying when they put all their information in and the only thing left is to click the checkout button. Drew did a lot of this for me, and he was basically saying that 80% of the people were just not wanting to buy because they didn't trust us.
Yeah.
And that reinforced the fact that, all right, we need to crack down on these reviews. We need to crack down on saying these influencers product. Anything that will get us trust from these customers, we have to do it because we're just losing. Honestly, I think there was a point where we were doing 40K a month and we probably had about 80K a month in abandoned checkouts
Yeah.
alone. It was insane.
Yep.
And 80% of them were from the US as well. We're like, oh, these people aren't checking out. Why aren't they doing it?
Oh
So
yeah.
that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's so true. And there's actually one other thing apart from trust that we learned from calling the abandoned checkouts. I completely agree. If you're getting a bunch of abandoned checkouts, just give them a call, right? That is so true. We also found the do not honor issue.
Unfortunately, guys, we've run into an issue, which this is just e-commerce for you,
Yeah.
that I'm quite optimistic in terms of scaling the brand and trying to figure out solutions to problems. But yeah, we've ran into an issue, do not honor, where if you are a company not operating in the US, there is a high likelihood when selling, I assume it's quite expensive products, that the US banks will just deny the sales because they do not want the customers buying internationally without the customer's approval. And yeah, look, while this issue probably isn't worth touching on because I could ramble about it forever and how
Bro,
it's
we can talk about it. Yeah.
unsolvable, these issues will happen and you kind of just have to adapt, right? Like we ran into this issue where customers couldn't buy expensive items because the banks weren't honoring the purchase. In turn, they were basically denying it, telling the customer,
Yeah.
no, you're not buying this. Um, and while we couldn't fix the problem because it's unfixable, we've done hours and hours of research. It's about adapting the store to mitigate the effect that it has on you as much as possible. So what Drew has set up for me is a message that pops up when they get the do not honor code on the purchase that says, please call your bank. This is a known issue. While it's unpreventable on our end, if you call your bank and authorize the purchase, they will allow it. So stuff like that, I feel like is a key point in terms of if something is unfixable, it's about mitigating the effect it has as much as possible so you can still obviously continue with your operations and scale as opposed to just crying and ignoring the issue essentially.
Oh yeah, and I mean, look, I think I should just let you talk for the whole video, bro. I think you, you know a lot about this. I actually I appreciate how much you listen to me. I think this is epic. Um, this is good. I love it. At the point we're at now, a lot of the success of the business has come down to you because you've just been pushing every day, right? I've said, hey, we need to do this stuff, and you're like, Drew, let's just do it, right? It's not a matter of, hey, let me consult my duck, let me ask my dog, you know, and when I try and present everything to you as much as I can in numbers, right? So you can see like a yes or no, rather than when we installed Microsoft Clarity is really great on seeing stuff, but it also gave us a lot of no numbered data, right? And we were looking at it going, well, what should we change? What should we change? And it just pretty much came down to A/B testing stuff, right? And just working out what was performing the best out of that. So to make that decision. But look, can I ask you a question? I've never asked you this before. Why did you actually decide to go with us at the get-go?
So I'm going to answer this truthfully, guys. There is no fake answers here. I had met Drew previously. I knew Drew had already run a previous successful e-commerce store, doing about 500,000 in revenue in just a year or less. So I knew he was a trustworthy guy. He knew all the operations behind e-commerce. He knew how to do the ads to get the revenue targets that we wanted. And I wasn't in that bubble of having no trust for him because there was no results for me to base the data off. I had already known this. He'd shown me screenshots when we met. It was actually on a Horizon boat day. So a
That
funny
was a
place to
fun day,
meet.
bro.
It was a great day. And Drew called me out of the blue. I was actually in Canada on a holiday with my parents. And he called me out of the blue and he's just like, "Hey, Sam, do you have a minute to chat?" I'm like, "I'm out of the country, but like, sure, of course, for you, Drew, I can chat for a minute." He's like, "How's business going?" I'm like, "Honestly, mate, like it's all right." I was working a full-time job at the time he called in what was I doing? I was a sales trainee. I'm not going to say in what industry, but I was a sales trainee, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, no, it's cool, it's cool. How's the e-commerce for you going?" I'm like, "Look, it's good. It's Was it good? Probably not. I was just kind of saying that because I just don't answer anything else. But we were stuck at 4K a month. I wasn't making money. If anything, I was losing money. And he's like, "Well, look, Sam, I know agencies get a bad rep in the industry for burning money and being too expensive, but will you give me a shot?" I said, "Look, let me sit down and we'll talk about it when I get home." So he had this beautiful PowerPoint. It was about 20 slides, and some of it was some of the slides were a bit, you know, interesting. But anyway, look, I didn't need the PowerPoint presentation. I said, "Drew, take my money. Let's do it." And yeah, we we just hit the ground running, right? I think a month after Drew joined the business, I left my full-time job because the first month was profitable straight away. It wasn't much. I think the first month, so January, he joined mid-Jan, I believe, which was 6K. And I probably made maybe $1,000 or something. I'm like, you know what? Leaving my full-time jobs. Let's do it, Drew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Realistically, look, I wouldn't recommend doing that. 90% of the time, that's not a good idea. But I didn't like my job anyway. So I'm like, whatever. If it fails, I'll just go get another job. But yeah, no, it was probably the best decision of my life. We have basically been just doing month on month more revenue ever since then. There has been a few months where obviously we've had our downturns, but since then, I don't think there's been a month where we've lost money unless I'm spending a lot of money selling influencers products. So that's just a bit of background about how I met Drew and how I joined the Cultivator. And
Totally.
none of that's fake. So
Yeah,
there's
no, I'm like,
no,
no, you went into more detail than I can even remember. So you're
yeah.
like, no, I was sitting here listening to that story going, oh,
Yeah. It was a long time ago now. As I said, we've
that was a
been two
while.
years. So
Yeah. Um, when when we started, so we went from 6K to 8K, and then what did we like hit 20K like straight up?
yeah, oh, it was something crazy like that. I can actually tell you right now because I got the numbers here on me. So January is when we started, January 2024, which was about a 6K month. February went to 9K, and then I'll tell you the exact number. Then March went to 22,000. So yeah, and these are profitable months, by the way. Look, revenue numbers look great on paper, but if you're not making money, revenue numbers mean nothing. And I understood this at the start because a big thing for me in the start of this business was we're not running, I will say, a generic dropshipping store where it's a pump and dump scheme essentially. So a lot of e-commerce is you boot up a store. Let's say you're selling, I know there's been a popular product recently where it's been little wood chips that you burn in top of your old fashioned. That's been quite a popular one I've been seeing on Instagram. And stores like that are traditionally pump and dump where you sell a lot of products quickly and you close the store down because you end up getting a lot of chargebacks. Our store from the beginning was more revenue focused as opposed to profitability focused because of the fact we were still trying to build up the trust, and we were happy having break even months to start because after a year or after 6 months, we then wanted to focus on the profitability. And my lesson there is I feel like at the start, early business days, your main focus should be revenue. It should not be about making the business profitable. You can worry about that later down the line. You need the customers, you need the funnels, you need everything set up correctly. Then you can work out, all right, how can we actually make this profitable now that we have the customers there? We've got all the flows set up and all of that, which is a very key point to the fact that in 2 months we scaled from 6K to 22K, right? We were very focused on those revenue targets.
You are preaching, bro. That is so true. Like
Hmm.
everything I say to people is we have to build a brand because if you don't have a brand and you have a pump and dump scheme like those crappy drop shipping stores, you don't get rebuys or repeat purchases or post purchase, right? And we've had a fair amount of people purchase again, and the customer lifetime value, we have some people sitting at what, like 10K or something ridiculous?
100%. Yeah, I will say that. So there are multiple people who come and purchase from us again because our catalog is so big. So they will purchase a 2K item and then 2 months later, they'll come and buy another 2K item. Then 2 months later, when the paycheck hits, they come and buy another 3K item, right? So it's a big one for us. It's about building up the trust and the credibility to the fact that these people aren't just going to buy once and you'll never see them again.
Completely. Yeah, no,
Mhm,
exactly
mhm.
right. I know you're working with Karen now, and obviously, we give people the option to have virtual assistants in their team and stuff like that. What is a VA, so virtual assistant, what have they allowed you to do in terms of freeing up your time? Because you still spend a lot of time on the business, right?
Yeah, oh, well, I mean, look, I'm spending, yeah, probably 10 or more hours a day in terms of when I wake up, Instagram messages, going through the emails that happened that night, following up with US people via text early in the morning so that they can actually respond in time. But Karen has been a huge help, and Karen's great. Like, I love Karen. She does great work for me with such a big catalog and for us slowly transitioning into a retailer kind of business where I will say we do sell multiple named brands. These brands have such big catalogs, which is why we can offer so many products. And I don't have the time to list all of these products when I have to follow up with emails, I have to do the orders. I will say I ship out the orders myself for some of them as well. So I'm the one doing that. And I don't have the time to be listing these products that all of these name brands are giving us, right? Catalogs of thousands and thousands of products. So Drew said, look, Sam, I have this team member, Karen, she can work for you full time. And I'm like, oh, that would be just a huge lifesaver for me in terms of the time I'd save because I'd basically come home after doing, 8, 10 hours in a day, sending orders, emails, just the generic e-com stuff. And I'd be like, all right, I have to list at least 3 products a day so I can keep the products
Yeah.
rolling. And it just wasn't feasible long term. I got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore. I got to the point where it'd been weeks and there'd been no new products, which when you're scaling a brand, you can never stop. You have to keep doing stuff. And the second you stop is the second that competition gets ahead of you, which if you let that happen, you're just going to slowly seep down into a dark, dark rabbit hole of a business that is dying. The listing of products for us is a big one. And Karen, when Drew suggested her, I'm like, yes, please give me her information. I want to call her and see what she can offer for us. And I'm going to be saving hours of time. Instead of listing 3 products a day, which I would do of a night, just at the end of my day to wrap it up, she's listing about, depending on the name brand we're selling, she's listing anywhere from 20 to about 80 products per day, which is huge for us. Like it's massive.
Yeah, completely. I mean, look, I've obviously tried listing products for you in the past. Like when we were at a
Yeah,
smaller scale, that's what we did. But
definitely.
the virtual assistant marketplace that we give people, just so if anyone's watching this video and they have no idea what you're talking about,
Hmm.
um, we interview a bunch of virtual assistants for our clients, and then we give them to our clients for less than $10 an hour, and allow them to just bring the virtual assistants into their ecom team to be able to do admin tasks and leverage that so the business owner can spend a bit more time doing what they want.
Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, Drew, with these VAs as well, if you want them to do customer support, you can, right? Like you just have to train them in it. For us, it's different. We maybe down the line, when we scale even more, I will eventually need that. If your store is doing lower ticket items, I would highly recommend getting a VA because you're going to be doing majority, or I should say more likely, more orders than us monthly because you're going to be selling lower ticket items. And the more orders you do monthly, the more chance you have of getting a lot of emails with just order inquiry tracking questions, general follow-up questions about their order, just general stuff that any VA will be able to answer. So look, that they can be great for that as well. Like VAs are great for 99% of tasks that you don't want to do essentially. And for most business owners, emails is probably one of them.
Yeah. Look, there are so much other stuff that we've done, like the live chat, the freaking, inventory management, the shipping channels. You even went like you met with a supplier and
Yes.
in
Flew to,
person.
yeah, flew to China to meet our supplier. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had Zoom calls with your supplier or another
Yes.
company because we were gonna like use our marketing strategy that for your company on
Yep.
their company. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. But there's been so much stuff that we've done, but we don't have time to go into all of that today. The fact of the matter is, like, if they're on the fence, what would you have to say to someone who just doesn't know what they want to do?
I would suggest, look, take this interview as a live example of what could happen, right? I mean, any business is scalable with the right tools. And for me, the right tools was Drew and his team, or Drew at the time and himself. He's got a team now, but no, it's about the tools, right? And Drew and the team are a great tool and they understand a lot about e-commerce, no matter the industry or the niche, because most of the stuff is transferable over. I could probably start a new store today and scale it to the point where we're at now with a completely different niche. So I would say just go for it. And look, you're not going to lose money, but even if you do, it's about understanding that you've taken the right path and you've experimented with something that should have worked. I highly doubt you're going to lose money because Drew's so smart, and I'm not trying to just, Drew say,
Yeah,
Sam, like say this stuff on the call, but it's true, right?
yeah.
So if your store looks like crap and if your ads are running crap, he will say, your store is crap and your ads are crap. We need to fix it all. So look, even if you just have a call with him and you don't sign up, the insight you will get from the call is astronomical because it'll tell you what you're doing right or wrong. And then from there, if you are doing stuff wrong, you're probably going to need to sign up because literally everything he will help you with. Our website was average. He helped us fix that, right? Built us a new website. Our ads were terrible. He fixed that. We're now doing 5 to 7 ROAS a month. So I'd just say go for it. Like, look, there's not much to say if you're on the fence, right? I'm not going to just
No, that's true.
wobble around it. Just
Yeah,
go for it.
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's going to be worth it.
Oh man, I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, I said it was a bit of a loaded question, I guess,
It was, it
because
was.
we've had tough months, right? We've had
We
tough.
have, and any store, brick and mortar, e-commerce, while some stores are going to be seasonal, there's going to be also stores that aren't seasonal, and you're going to see probably a decline, right? Like for us, I think up until maybe June, we were only on the uphill curve, and then it went down. We were going up, 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 6K, 8K, 20K, 25K, 30K, 35K, 40K, 40K, 28K, 28K, 30K. And the key note is instead of just being upset when you do have your downhill turns, you want to learn, okay, what is different? We had a key moment where there was 1 month we did something different. We added exclusions and the sales went crazy, right? So it's about, all right, why aren't we scaling? We need to try something new. Or why do we have a downhill turn month? What did we do different? So it's about understanding what is happening month to month and what's happening with your sales and directly correlating that with what you're doing in the business so you can understand how to get on the right track to scale again because it's inevitable. These things are going to happen. And if anything, it's good that they happen because they're really key learning points for understanding your business better, understanding your market better, and understanding how to grow the business better. So that's just the last point I wanted to add for anyone.
That is well put. That is very well put. I mean, I completely agree.
Yeah,
There's months that crap happens, and
exactly.
when I was personally running my e-com store as well, I'd be sitting there and it's just me, right? And I don't have anyone to bounce the ideas off. I don't want to have like another few different people to have a look at the ads or a few different people to have a look at the analytics because I'd be so concerned about something over here, and in reality, need to be focusing on something over here and actually changing that. I would ask what is next for you and what you plan on having to come up, but I think you pretty much told everyone. You know,
Yeah, look, I can briefly touch on it. I mean, what's next for us is we're we're getting towards the 100K a month mark. And look, my dad had run a very successful business in Australia, doing a lot of money, a lot more than money than we're doing annually. And he said, the big goal for you, Sam, is do $1 million a year revenue. That's when you're an official business. So I've always had in the back of my mind basically $100,000 a month, which is close enough. It's actually more, it's 1.2 mil a year. So let's just say whatever it is, 1 mil a year, right? That's the next big goal for us in terms of revenue. Um, because then we're running quite a profitable margin. So it will be one, a lot of money in my pockets, which obviously is great. Why else would anyone do e-commerce if they don't want to make money? No one does it as a hobby. That's ridiculous. And two, it's just a nice number, right? Like $1 million a year is, as my dad said, when you're a real business. So that's next for us. We're trying to scale up there. And with our current operations, we're making our way up. It's a slow uphill climb, but we're getting there. And that's the next target for us.
Well, sick. Look, I appreciate your time, Sam. We're going to keep chatting, obviously, for well,
We are.
like
We are.
this is not like I'm not going to end the call here. We're not going to talk for the next like month.
No,
But
Drew and I are good friends. Drew lives close to me. So Drew and I are good friends now,
like an
which
hour and a half away. What do you want about?
it's whatever. It's close enough, right? And it's funny as well because look, even if you're not living near Drew or the cultivator or whoever, right? It just kind of shows you that e-commerce can build these kind of relationships as well. I wasn't friends with Drew until we started working together.
Yeah,
To be quite frank, like we met each other once, and I think I messaged him on Instagram once asking a question, and then from there
yeah.
it was dead silence for the next 3 to 4 months
Was that me ghosting
until
you?
maybe you were just really rude back in the day. Like I'm not actually sure. Maybe you just wanted money, so you just called me and said, "Hey mate, join my marketing program. I want your money." But no, ever since then, like we've been good mates, and we probably hang out in person like once every second week or whatever now.
Yeah,
Um, Sometimes for business, sometimes not for business. Played tennis with each other the other day.
don't remind me, bro.
That wasn't fun for Drew because he got destroyed. But it's just it's another little bonus of e-commerce and signing up with Cultivator or whatever you end up doing because you do create really strong relationships along the way, and the network that you can surround yourself with is quite valuable. Because now that I have Drew, right, like he's affiliated with these VAs, these other people, and I get access to that through Drew. So it's just another good bonus of it all.
Cool, bananas. Well, thanks for your time, Sam. I hope you have a great day, and I hope everyone found some value in this call that are watching. And I really appreciate you coming out to have this call with me. It means a lot. I know you don't like talking much.
No, 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 no. Yeah, I'm not much of a public speaker or anything. While I did do it in school, I'm not anymore. I'm more, focused on my work by myself. I talk to Drew and that's about it. So I'm glad I could get on the interview and offer any insightful stuff that I may have said.
Cool. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Drew. Really
Thank you.
appreciate it. And
I'll talk to
we'll
you soon.
we'll we'll keep in contact, all right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll do. We'll do.